Well, inside TVs are going and outside dogs are barking and the wind is howling. So I'm going to hope that you can hear me. All right, Blackbird Pond people, how is it going? We are in chapter 10. And at the beginning of chapter 10, we find out that Kit has visited the head of the school, the Mr. Kimberly himself, and managed to talk him into giving her another chance and giving Mercy another chance to teach the school. This is right after, remember, she's left the widow's place, and she said she kind of felt bewitched. And she kind of makes a joke about it because everybody in town, remember, thinks that the widow is a witch. Well, at the very beginning on chapter 10, on page 98, she says, he listened to me and he finally agreed I could have one more chance. I won't let you down again, Mercy, I promise. Well, what does the fact that Kit marched up to this man's house, knocked on his door, and talked to him enough that he would give her another chance, what does this tell us about Mercy's character? What kind of a person is she? What are we seeing more and more about Mercy? Are you back? Yeah, I see her myself as a very strong, determined, and stubborn young woman. But she's not going to give up. She's definitely not going to let any setback keep her down. Well, then she goes on and she tells Mercy, well, I think I was bewitched. And she said, I had just been from visiting the widow. And Mercy gets an anxious frown on her forehead. She says an anxious frown wrinkled Mercy's forehead on the bottom of 98. Well, remember, the widow, everyone in town sees the widow as a witch. And her Aunt Rachel at the top of page 99 says, I think you had better not say anything to the others about meeting this woman. Well, why? Why shouldn't she say anything to anybody else? And she cautions her, please do not let your uncle know about this. What is the big deal? Are you back? Okay, did you say it's because, well, she's thought to be a witch, and why is she thought to be a witch? And her aunt says, she is a Quaker. Hannah Tupper is a Quaker. That is a big no-no in this society. And she says, you know, they hang Quakers in Boston. We don't do that here, but they're still branded. They're still ostracized. Nobody's going to hang out with them. Well, what groups of people do we do that to now? What do you think? Does that still happen in our country? Does that still happen in our school? I'm anxious to read your discussion on that. And Kit asks her, she says, well, has she ever done any harm? No. And Aunt Rachel says she might be a perfectly nice lady, but she's a Quaker, so we don't socialize with her. We're not going to have anything to do with her. And then she goes on to tell Kit, you are young, child. You don't understand how sometimes evil can seem innocent and harmless. Well, I think, and not looking necessarily at the fact that they're judging and ostracizing a group of people, I think she does have a good piece of advice in there. What else could she mean with, or how else could you learn from that phrase that evil could seem harmless? Remember that don't do anything illegal, immoral, or just plain stupid advice I always give you? That's part of it. All right, and then she asks Kit what? What does she ask Kit not to do? And Kit says, I cannot promise that. And why does Kit say, I cannot promise that I'm not going back there? Okay, did you say it was because Kit says nothing that anyone could say would prevent her going back to that place again. Well, that meadow, that Hannah, they provide Kit with peace, a peace that she doesn't get anywhere else in town. Remember, in town, she is judged. She is ostracized. She constantly feels like she's letting everybody down. So the fact that they are, that she has found somebody and some place where she can find peace, it's going to make sure that she does not go there again. She needs that place. She needs that peace. You understand? I'm sure there are probably places you go or times where you just need that quiet time to yourself, or you need to be around somebody who truly gets you or who you feel truly does not judge you. Who is that person in your life? Who is it that you turn to when you're like, I don't want to feel like I'm judged. I want to be able to be myself. Who is that person for you? Now you can either share it in your discussion or you can put it on your study guide. But I would like to know, who is that person that you know you can count on and go to no matter what and never feel judged? Are you back? All right. Well, Kit goes on and she kind of wonders if she should tell William Ashby. Now, who is William Ashby again? That's right. That's a young man that's courting her. Should she tell William Ashby? And she kind of goes against it because she says she had learned to recognize the tightening of his jawline when she said something that shocked him. So she knows he's not quite as free of a spirit, so to speak, as she is. And she figures if she told him she was hanging out with a Quaker witch woman, ooh, it would not be good. And she'd like to talk to John about it, but she can never get him alone. Now, I did find it humorous that she talks on page 101 about how John just he never formally says, I want to court Judith. He doesn't give Judith really any extra attention, doesn't say anything. But Judith has decided that he is courting her, that he is there to see her. Why does she decide that? Discuss that in your group. Why does Judith decide, okay, the only time he's alone with me is when I ask him to go for a walk. Otherwise, he doesn't give me any more attention than anybody else. He has not officially asked to court me. Why does she think he is there to court her? Now, the second part of that question is, what does that do to to Judith's attitude? How does that change her? What does that do to her attitude? And if you're wondering what page this is all on, it's on page 101. Are we back? I'm anxious to read this discussion. A cat just ran by in my yard. Sorry, the dogs are... No, it was a bunny. It was a bunny. All right. So Kit decides she's not going to say anything more, but she throws herself into her schoolwork. She's very, very prim and proper. She makes sure she doesn't do anything that could be construed as naughty or not by the books. On the bottom of page 102, it says she threw herself so diligently, and diligently means she is very determined. She's working hard into the schoolwork that the children were bewildered. There were no more stories, no games, even no small unorthodox poems. After school hours, there were the gardens to weed and the first crop of flax to harvest. And it goes on. Well, we can tell that Kit is working very, very hard. Why is she working so hard? What is she trying to do? I think she's trying to prove a little something, both to herself and to her aunt and uncle and cousins. And remember, the widow Tupper had said, I didn't think this plant would grow here, but it kept trying. It kept creating roots, and it's thriving. And I think she's taken that to heart. She's really trying to put down some roots. She's really trying to prove to herself and to the others around her that she can do this. Well, after they get done weeding early one afternoon, she and Judith are walking home, and she notices the widow's house, and she said, I'm going to go visit the widow. And Judith is horrified. Whoa, 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 you're not supposed to do this. No, 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 no. And she says, well, you can tell the family where I am exactly if you'd like, but I'm going to go visit her, and nothing's going to stop me. And she says once she gets in there, she felt a peace flowed into Kit. She felt warm and happy. Why? She's now in the widow's house, and it says a peace just flows into her. Well, what is it about the widow's home, or the widow herself that makes her feel warm and happy? We've kind of discussed it before. Are you back? Okay. I think the widow's kind of just that one person she can talk to, that one person that she feels confident won't judge her no matter what. Well, who shows up while they are there? Do you remember? Yes, Nat Eaton comes back. Remember the ship captain's son? The one that I think Kit kind of had a thing for, and I think he kind of had a thing for her, but they weren't going to admit it. He comes back, and he is the widow's friend. Remember, she says, I have a friend, a special friend that comes. Well, it's Nat. And she says, the widow says during all this, she said, you know, it's hard to believe that the only two friends, and I believe this was on page 108. That's right, page 108. The only two friends that... 'Tis a strange thing, there it is, I found it now. 'Tis a strange thing that the only friends I found in the same way, lying flat in the meadows, crying though their hearts would break. And Kit looks at Nat like, you too? But how old was Nat? That's right, he was 8. He was 8 when she found him. He had run away. Why? Yes, because he had to go to school. His dad was going to make him stay and live with his grandma and go to school instead of going on the ship. And he did not like this idea. So he said, brought her in, had blueberry cake, which I guess blueberry cake and a kitten are the cure for everything. So if you're really feeling down, make yourself a blueberry cake and go find a kitten. No, please don't go find a kitten because I don't want parents calling me. But make yourself that blueberry cake. Anyway, I don't think it was necessarily the cake that made him feel better as this kind woman who took them into her home and showed them just respect and love. And this kind woman who showed them all this respect and love, how was she treated by others in this community? That's right, not. You can ask the other group that's reading the Scarlet Letter right now. The woman who is ostracized in their book is the one who purposely goes out of her way to feed and clothe the poor, even though they scorn her. So I think that's interesting. Why do you think that the people who are ostracized are the ones who make the biggest attempt to help out those who are hurting? That's how I want you to kind of end your discussion. Is why is it that this person, this widow Tupper, who is treated so poorly by everyone else, what is it about her that gives her such a strong heart and one that is willing to help strangers that come to her door? And what does that tell us about what we can do? How does that apply to you now as a human being? All right, guys. We'll see you for chapter 11. I hope you're enjoying the book. A great discussion, ladies and gentlemen.